We played the new TI4 Codex and it's incredible. Namely, I would say this one segment. This one changes so much of TI4, and I haven't been this excited for an expansion to a game in about 10 years. And again, Codex doesn't mean official expansion. This is free, and it's mostly just this one sheet of paper. That's mostly it. So we love TI4, and we're actually doing a TI4 game every single month of this year as a challenge. And so far, we're mostly hitting it. So for this month's game, we printed out the TI4 Codex 4 and played it once 3-player. It is 10 a.m. on a Friday. We're about to play TI4 3-player. Okay, we're gonna play with the Codex. This will be fun. This will be really cool. Hopefully it doesn't take too long. Hahaha. It is 4 o'clock. We just finished. We took no breaks, no lunch breaks, so we just powered through without any food.
The good guys won.
He won.
Heroes win again.
But this Codex is insane, is actually insane. The Total War variant changes the game so much. We had a newcomer too.
GG.
So of course this video is not a full review. We have the modules and factions we played listed on screen. We'll be going through each of the new things that we played with and what our reactions are, then some final thoughts from me and Alexander at the end. We both combined have easily over 200 hours of TI4 experience as we've played it since release. We won't be talking about the Pax Magnifica section of the Codex because we didn't try it. Real quick, it is a 6-player scenario that must be played with 6 specific factions, 2 of which are permanently allied. We hope to try it one day. Again, this codex is entirely free off the FFG website. You can look it up right now. And you don't even need the Prophecy of Kings expansion to play with some of these modules. That gets us into how this video is entirely unsponsored. So thank you to our Ko-fi and Patreon for making videos like this possible. If you'd like to support, we have our link in the description below. And we have our Mad Lads of Cardboard here on screen. Thank you guys so much for helping us out with these big videos. Anyways, let's get to it. TI4, Codex 4, Volume 4, Liberation. 3 new relics. They're all very strong. Now we got to use the Circlet of the Void as I drew it. And I could explore frontier tokens anywhere on the map as long as enemy ships weren't there. So I could just stall for time and get to take frontier tokens without dark energy tap. Extremely useful. Honestly, it's just nice to have more strong relics in the game because if you're going through the effort of getting relic shards, you want it to be impactful. Galactic Event cards. These are 4 different modules you can mix and match to tweak rules. We played with 3, so let's talk about those 3 first. Age of Commerce really opens up trading, as you never have to be neighbors to trade, and it reworks commodities. You now never have a max commodity count, so when you refresh, you just gain that number of commodities so you can keep stacking. Then, now you can trade tech with one another, so bundle in your tech during trade deals. This doesn't change the game that much. In our games, like while it's novel to stack commodities past your printed count, it doesn't really feel drastically different. And it is maybe a weird thing in not punishing weaker trading factions as much. But this is a tier 1 complexity module after all. The next in complexity is the Age of Exploration, which makes TI4 Prophecy of Kings even more of a 4x. By the way, you need the expansion to play this one. Now relics only require 2 matching fragments to create instead of 3, so that's easier. Definitely helped in our lower player count game. Then Dark Energy Tap has a new ability. Now you can exhaust it and point to a blank space next to 2 non-home systems where you're at, roll the d10. If it's a 1 through 4, you draw a random unused red tile. This could be Asteroid Field or Gravity Rift or Wormhole. If it's a 5 through 10, you get a random unused blue tile. It's probably new planets for the picking. This module is the most quirky and cheeky galactic event, as you can now build outwards from the corner of the map, so you can use it to kind of run away from others. Probably foregoing Mechatol Rex as you go away from it. And then you can possibly find new planets to fulfill your resource needs. Again, it's pretty random what you get, but yeah, this is putting a lot more explore into the 4x of POK. And it's neat how there's now more map manipulation besides wormhole switching and Gross of Krios moving someone else's home base. It also buffs Dark Energy Tap, so now you can also have it explore those frontier tokens. Personally, I didn't pursue this, but the other 2 players did, and it gave them a surprising amount of resources for how little planets they controlled around Mechatol. But what I did really pursue is Total War. Now, I'm kind of like losing my mind about this one. This changes the VP dynamics of the game a lot. Oh, okay, let's do the deep dive. Now, whenever you produce hits or destroy opponent's units, like in combat, you place tokens from the supply on a home planet equal to the combined cost of units. What this means is now that if you kill a dreadnought in combat, you take 4 markers, which you use the gray commodity tokens for, and put it in your home planet. Infantry and fighters are worth 1 commodity each. Okay, so what do these commodities do? Well, as an action, you can now discard 10 commodities from planets in your home system to gain 1 victory point. 1 point! Holy cow. So now you have another avenue for points that's not just reliant on any objective or card draw. The twist is that if someone gains control of a home planet that has commodities, you just move those commodities to their own home. Okay, so now there's almost like a bounty on people's heads for how much kills they've gotten. Deep breaths, deep breaths. This changes the game so much from just 4 lines, 4 paragraphs of text. So let's get into the monumental effects. 1, it makes every combat meaningful, as even the littlest of units dying is adding up to a bar. You have to be mindful about every loss, as you could just be feeding points. Like, no longer are fighters just dumb body shields. Now them being countered by anti-fighter barrage is point potential. And now, even if you're not involved in a combat, you're looking at commodities stacking up on people's bases, which gets us to number 2. It makes TI4 the most bloodthirsty it's ever been, as you have another reason to take people's homes. There's a massive swing by taking pretty much anyone's home base, as you get tokens for killing them, and they get tokens for killing you, then you take those tokens. So you can start to see how a base take alone could be 1 to 2 VP on top of whatever objectives you may have. Big effect number 3. Total War interrupts the flow of how points are generated. You can now reliably get points even when behind, just go out and kill things. So there's more of a catch-up potential if you went military but were behind on objective tempo. Now that doesn't really matter. Plus, since you can generate points as an action, that is before the status phase, you could sneak wins even when it looks like someone else is going to win normally. Those are the main changes. I've noted that now having multiple home planets is slightly better, because when you gain the commodities and when you distribute them, you put them on however many home planets you want. And when someone takes a home planet, well, they only get commodities on that home planet. But when you redeem commodities, you just take it freely from all of those planets. Or how support for the throne and ceasefire deals are now going to be more carefully evaluated and maybe broken, because there's just more incentive to attack people. Or now you can even do trade attack deals where you promise to crash units into each other so you can both get commodities from units dying. Something military industrial complex, sacrificing lives to gain points. Some less miscellaneous buffs it does. Destroyer 2 is now way better. Bacteria weapon can give incredible amounts of points by wiping all infantry now, and War Sun is better because a Mabard can give you 3 tokens in a snap. Actually, Bacterial Weapon was patched through this tech PDF that we didn't play with. It's not in the actual Codex PDF, but it is part of the Codex. So this no longer kills all infantry, but instead doubles hits, including hits from bombarding or infantry fights. So yeah, good retweak here. In terms of Total War's nerfs, it seems to nerf Jolnar as they're weak in combat, Arbrek because they can get bombarded easily, and Clanisar who initially want to leave their home base, but now they don't. So Total War is super interesting, but is it worth playing for your group? Well, it makes the gameplay a lot more swingy and dice roll dependent, as killing units now is giving you points. I could see people easily ignoring some of the public objectives once they realize, well, heck, I can just go out and kill and get points there. Does this mean that the game will devolve into pure chaos in 6 players? I don't know, but it definitely adds a huge layer of unpredictability. You might not like that. For example, Fleet Logistics, which gave you 2 actions, means that you can now do 2 massive attacks in a single turn to surprise people, and that could be 30 commodities worth of things dying, which is 3 points, if you could redeem it as its 3 actions. Because now if your base gets taken before the next turn, that's probably 40 commodities of things going to the winner. This could be 4 points in a single round regardless of any objectives. Playing with Total War really just feels like that saying, death begets death, begets death, begets death. That is, death just kind of keeps spiraling forward. And well, I mean, that is Total War. It's Total War. If you don't like the feeling of a target on the back of your head for winning fights, look at all those potential VP. Or maybe you don't like how the game now puts a lot more emphasis on people's bases. Or maybe how you might not like how the game will suddenly end in a round because someone just crunched commodities. Then yeah, you can definitely pass this variant. Like, it does straight up encourage you to knock people out of the game, but it can also make the game shorter with points getting injected. So you might want to experiment with a 12 or 14 point game. It certainly makes the game feel a lot more sweaty and excels when you're really good at counting up unit costs before combat to see if you can cinch a win. I could easily see house rules being the commodity count being set to 15 instead of 10 to get a VP, or even placing the commodities from a combat in your home system at the end of a turn to prevent someone from getting such an insane payday from taking someone's base. This would also reward liberation. But if you felt like TI4 just didn't have enough ways to score points, and if you wanted more sudden point injections like secret objectives, then yeah, this one could definitely be up your alley. And then you can also try Total War without the POK expansion, but again, we can't talk about balance. We have no idea. Before moving on to recommendations and our personal thoughts on the whole matter, there's one more Galactic event that we didn't play with called Minor Factions. This puts neutral factions on the board that start with 3 infantry and they just sit there and do nothing. If you subjugate them, colonize them, you take their commander ability. This is a really neat way to inject commander combinations into the game and of course, more flavor. Oh cool, I'm allying with these guys now because I forced them to cooperate. Definitely agree on the complexity 2+ for this. But yeah, look at all these commander combos you can do. How about this one? I can build my flagship for free now. Well, it turns out that my flagship is a bomb that nukes everything. Haha, blow up things, get it back for free. Heck yeah. Recommendations. Okay, so TI4 is clearly already a complicated game, and so I understand why people wouldn't want to play Prophecy of Kings. I was super overwhelmed by it at first. But maybe you do want to spice up your TI4 base on a budget, so in that case, I would recommend playing with Total War and Age of Commerce. You don't really have to change out any components, and the game will feel drastically different. Okay, for components, maybe you might want to use the new bacteria weapon, the new bacteria X89 weapon. But the old one is probably still okay. I think it's fine, just don't start stacking infantry now. If you already play with every single new TI4 doodad like we do, well, so far we tried all 3 Galactic events and don't mind even adding the next Galactic event, the Minor Factions. So the complexity to add isn't that much to us. As an observation, Codex 4 makes TI4 feel more like a true 4X. A lot of 4s, I know. You now have more cutthroatness, the politics is way more freeform now, and exploration is actually adding tiles onto the board now. And so now when I'm playing TI4 with everything, it actually reminds me a lot of Sid Meier's Civilization 2010. In Civilization, there's a target on people's home bases because that will immediately end the game and you win. In Total War TI4, hey that rhymes, you don't necessarily end the game off of taking someone's home, but you can get easily 2 points off of that. So combining that with other objectives is a massive boost. So yeah, if you're a TI4 lover, then yeah, definitely use one of these for your next game. If it sounds like something you'd like, I don't think you're gonna go much wrong there. Oh, and if you have Prophecy of Kings, then yeah, just get the new Relics. Why not? But you will have to start sleeving things in the game, which does take a while to sleeve. So thank you to Alexander for sleeving everything. He says it took about 3 hours.
The Total War module is super great. I really like it. I like that it makes all the battles far more important and you're always now thinking about like, who am I gonna get attacked by and where can I opportunistically go after someone and continue to harvest commodities without losing too much or without exposing myself to retaliation. It really hammers home on kind of what I always thought was the optimal way to play the military game in TI4, which is first strike and don't lose anything. Like win without losing anything at all, except like a command counter. If you can pull that off, then the battle was fantastic. But now it's like, not only do you get all the rewards of winning battle, you're also getting a percentage of a victory point if you do that. Total War variant is super fun. Probably not for everyone. People who don't want TI4 to just be more like Space Risk maybe wouldn't like it as much. But I think saying that the Total War variant turns the game into Space Risk is a little reductive. I think it does more than just make the game all about fighting constantly. It means fighting is much more important and you have to think a lot more about it. I think that just makes the game more, demanding of interaction between other players. Yeah, the exploration variant, it's cool that it makes relics acquirable with only 2 fragments. With the Codex 4, I would say there's too many relics in the game. You have no idea what you're gonna get, and you have super low agency on finding any particular relic. So the fact that you can get them with only 2 fragments I prefer it, but I imagine in 6-player, if everyone's getting a relic with just 2 fragments, the game is gonna be super wacky, which maybe is what you want. And we also played with no commodity limit and you can share texts, which I think is cool. I prefer it that way. I don't think it really changed the game very much. It just made it feel more like a Space 4X game. Oh, no, the game's still a 10. It's still perfect. I can't wait for any other future content that comes out for it. I'll play it all the time, all player counts. Codex only makes it better. I think all the codexes have only made the game better for me because I really love the game. I would definitely play with Total War again. Maybe not with everyone. I can imagine some people would get some very hurt feelings behind playing Total War, but I would always want to play with the minor nations because that's just going to make the game more exciting because there's more like combos, because there's so many combos that already exist with like the other 2 rules variants, I should say, are, take them or leave them. I think they're fun, but I don't think they make the game like substantially better. The only thing that makes sense is that you should be able to share technologies. That probably imbalances the game. I don't know. Game's a masterpiece. Can't wait for the next expansion, TI5.
So what do I think about this codex personally? Well, let me tell you guys a little bit of a secret here. You can come on close. My interest in POK was actually slightly weaning. Yeah, TI4 POK, because I just played it so much this year, and a lot of the games went over time. Pretty much every single time we played was at least 6 to 7 hours, at least. So sure, the endings are always epic, and I do think TI4 still feels like the ultimate game to me in giving incredible jubilation, then agony, then jubilation, then trade, then hilarity. Pretty much all the scopes of the human emotion in the coolest thematic scope possible. The elegant command token, core, and Mechtal Rex King of the Hill fighting will always be good, but it was just getting too long. So I was thinking about reducing my score to a 9 out of 10, especially when the round structure started to get a little bit predictable. Oh, round 1, maybe get 1 point, probably not. Then round 2, get 1 public objective, otherwise you're screwed. Then the game ends at round 5 usually. If you play a lot of TI4, you know what I'm talking about. But with Total War, man, now my enjoyment of the game has shot back up to a 10 out of 10. There's just so much cool reanalyzing the game I have to do now, and the game feels shorter. And the game will be shorter in the future, but it feels a lot shorter now. And it helps I've played the game for so long that I've pretty much memorized all the unit costs of everything, so it's very easy to just, oh yeah, that's 4, that's 5, that's 6. Warsaw is 12. I just played this game too much, man. TI4 trivia night, anyone? To me, the Codex changes, and of course, mostly Total War, are extremely elegant and thought-provoking for an already huge game. Sure, while POK bursts on the scene with so many new abilities and, well, so many new abilities, like look at all these abilities, that was really hard to keep track of during gameplay. And as such, I wasn't so high on it at first. People called me crazy, but I always thought TI4 had enough asymmetry. And while I've come to love POK, there was an adjustment period for sure. But now with the Codex, just a couple lines of straightforward text, and I'm reevaluating every single ship build and movement? That is some incredible design. But anyways, now I'm getting rewarded for all my years of game experience, and it's still TI4, so the game is still political, and I'm now encouraged to do unpredictable things. And man, are crunching those 10 commodities to get a VP incredibly satisfying, as I know how hard it is to get points in TI4. Like, I was in a situation where I could have gotten 3 VP in the final round before the status phase, but that dirty L1Z1X player decided to take my base with his hero ability. But it was hype, and namely threw me off my TI4 rhythm in a really exciting way. Post this Codex session, I was actually just exhilarated doing all of this research and theory crafting for the game, and even had a late night session discussing with a friend combat probabilities and how that tied in with Total War. When I look back, it is pretty incredible that my love for TI4 is still so high. Like, no matter the player count or ending, I'm still always satisfied with the game. Sure, it runs pretty long, but that's just how it is. And it also needs to be long to do its epic scope. Plus, every game felt more or less worth it, with fond memories. And I've come out of every game learning something new, whether it be a way someone else's brain worked, or how a faction's hero ability could be used, how to use fighters better, I mean, really, just how to think about grand strategy better. And now I want to return to my old faction favorites like Mantak or Sardak Nor and just see what happens with Total War. So what was the last expansion that I was so hyped about in a board game? Well, that would be over 10 years ago with Battlestar Galactica Exodus, which introduced the new Cylon fleet mechanic so it wouldn't warp as randomly. That was over 10 years ago, and that was an actual expansion. These are both FFG products. Nice. So, Dane Beltrami and James Knifen, thank you for keeping Twilight Imperium alive. You guys are truly big heroes to me. Even when TI4 is 8 years old and Twilight Imperium 3 came out in 2003, you're keeping the TI love high. Playing Codex 4 reminds me of when I was playing TI3 for years and that bought TI4 and immediately loved it. So now in 2025, it feels like I'm experiencing Twilight Imperium 4.5. I've changed, the game has changed, and I'm still loving it. 10 out of 10 for sure. Now I just have to find a way to eliminate this Total War sheet.